What do you get when you throw three R&B legends into one group, a dream team or a ticking time bomb? Tyrese, Ginuwine, and Tank, three men with voices smoother than silk and egos just as loud, formed what should have been R&B's ultimate supergroup, TGT, but instead of dominating the charts for years, they imploded just as fast as they rose. Why? Because behind the music were money fights, massive egos, petty jealousy, and some seriously messy social media outbursts. One member accused the other of being greedy. Another said someone tried to control the whole group like a dictator. There were lawsuits, shade-throwing interviews, group chat betrayals, and even accusations that one of them was never really in it for the music. So what really happened to TGT? Were they doomed from the start? Or did fame, ego, and greed destroy one of R&B's most promising powerhouses? Let's unpack the scandal, the secrets, and the truth behind why TGT fell apart so fast. And trust, this story is even messier than you think. On paper, TGT sounded like the second coming of R&B royalty. You had Tyrese, the movie star with a platinum voice; Ginuwine, the smooth-talking sex symbol who made Pony a cultural reset; and Tank, the vocal beast behind some of the strongest pen games in the genre. Three men, three brands, one vision: to bring back real R&B. They weren't just random artists linked up for clout, they were friends, or at least that's what they told us. The group was born out of mutual respect and a shared frustration with the way R&B was shifting. Tank once said in an interview, "We wanted to bring the genre back to when it had meaning, to when vocals actually mattered. Big talk." And honestly, fans were ready. When they officially formed TGT in 2007, it felt like a moment. But it wouldn't be until 2013, almost 6 years later, that their debut album, Three Kings, dropped. And despite all the industry delays, it actually hit. The album debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 and topped the R&B hip-hop albums chart. It proved they still had it, and maybe even more than that, it proved there was a hungry audience still craving grown man R&B. The chemistry looked solid, on the surface. Their vocals blended perfectly, the live performances were sensual and raw, and the visuals gave that 90s meets modern vibe. On BET's 106 and Park, they were playful, laughing, roasting each other. You'd think these guys were tight, but behind the smiles, cracks were already forming. And it didn't take long before the group became less about the music and more about who was trying to control the throne. Because when you put three kings on the same stage, somebody's always going to try to wear a bigger crown. So let's be real. Group projects are hard. But group projects where all three members are already solo stars with their own fan bases, tour schedules, egos, and entourages, that's not a collaboration. That's a time bomb with a beat. Even before the Three Kings album dropped, fans started noticing something weird. TGT would announce a tour date, and suddenly Ginuwine was missing. Or Tyrese was promoting a movie instead of rehearsing. Or Tank was posting cryptic messages like loyalty over everything. Huh? Turns out they weren't all on the same page. Literally. From the jump, scheduling conflicts were a nightmare. Each of them had full solo careers. Tyrese was filming Fast and Furious sequels, Ginuwine had his own tour dates, and Tank was juggling studio sessions and writing credits for other artists. Trying to get all three in the same city at the same time? Almost impossible. But the real problem wasn't just calendars, it was control. According to interviews from both Tank and Ginuwine, there was an early imbalance in who was calling the shots. And spoiler alert, Tyrese wanted to be the captain. He allegedly acted like the CEO of TGT instead of a teammate. He picked the team, pushed the direction, and according to Tank, tried to control everything from promotion to payouts. And then there was the infamous Ginuwine live performance meltdown. Fans still remember it. Slurred lyrics, strange behavior, and Tyrese looking tight on stage like he was ready to walk off. Twitter had a field day. People accused Ginuwine of being drunk, high, or just unprofessional. Later, Ginuwine claimed it was a mix of medication and exhaustion, but the damage was done. From that point forward, people were asking, wait, is TGT okay? And the answer was nope. Not even close. Because while fans were dancing to Sex Never Felt Better, the group itself was already slipping into something much worse than silence: resentment. Now let's talk about the part that really broke the group: money. Because if there's one thing that'll kill brotherhood faster than betrayal, it's an unbalanced check. According to multiple interviews, Tyrese didn't just want control, he wanted the bigger cut. Now, to be fair, he had the Hollywood clout. He was the box office name, the Fast and Furious star, the guy getting mainstream press. But Ginuwine and Tank weren't just backup singers, they were platinum-selling artists in their own right. So when Tyrese allegedly suggested he deserved a larger percentage of the group's earnings, yeah, that went left. Tank was the first to publicly speak on it. In a radio interview, he didn't name names, but it was clear who he was talking about. He said, "When someone thinks they're bigger than the group and wants more, it throws everything off. It was never about ego for me or G." Translation: Tyrese wanted the bag, and the other two weren't having it. Ginuwine backed it up in later interviews, claiming there were never clear financial agreements. Sometimes people got paid, sometimes they didn't. He even hinted that he was owed money for shows he already performed. Imagine singing your lungs out on stage, only to get a "we'll get it to you later" text. Nah, and here's where it got messy. Tyrese apparently believed he was the reason promoters were booking the group in the first place. And maybe, from a branding angle, he had a point. But Tank and Ginuwine weren't sidekicks. They were stars before Tyrese even had a record deal. The result? Pure chaos. Bookings were canceled, performances were skipped, and the tour that could have been a game-changing moment for R&B became a rumor of what could have been. At one point, Tyrese tweeted something along the lines of, "I love my brothers, but business is business." That line alone told fans everything they needed to know. TGT wasn't a brotherhood anymore. It was a broken business deal. And if you thought the financial drama was ugly, wait till you hear how it all played out in public. Because the next chapter, it wasn't behind closed doors anymore. It was Instagram Live and Twitter fingers. If you thought the behind-the-scenes drama was juicy, just wait until it hit the timeline. Because once the gloves came off, Tyrese, Ginuwine, and Tank weren't just beefing in private. They were straight up throwing shade in broad daylight, and fans were watching it all play out like a reality show. Let's start with the tweet that lit the fuse. In the middle of ongoing rumors, Tyrese jumped on social media and basically declared the group dead, saying something like, "TGT is no more. I tried. I really did. No heads up, no press release, just boom. The end," via Twitter. Tank and Ginuwine blindsided and pissed. Ginuwine clapped back almost immediately, basically saying, "You don't speak for the group, bro." He even hinted that Tyrese had a habit of trying to control everything, and that they hadn't had a real conversation about ending things. It wasn't just petty, it was personal. But Tank took it to another level. He went on radio interviews, Instagram Live, everywhere, to let people know exactly what went wrong. He didn't name Tyrese directly at first, but come on, we knew. He said one member wanted to be the boss, that the money got weird, and that he and Ginuwine just wanted to make music, while someone else was chasing control and clout. The fans weren't sure who to believe, but the receipts kept coming. At one point, Tyrese hinted that he was the only one being professional and that the others weren't taking the group seriously. He posted inspirational quotes with captions like, "You can't build something strong with weak minds," which, if that's not passive-aggressive shade, what is? Meanwhile, Ginuwine responded in the most Ginuwine way possible, petty memes. He reposted screenshots, laughed off Tyrese's statements, and made it clear he wasn't stressing over the breakup. Tank just kept it raw, saying, "I love them, but I'm not dealing with the bull anymore." And let's not forget, the fans took sides. Some were Team Tyrese, blaming Tank and Ginuwine for being washed. Others were Team G and Tank, calling Tyrese a diva in a leather jacket. Twitter threads broke down every cryptic post. R&B gossip pages started running timelines like it was a true crime investigation. At that point, it wasn't about music anymore. It was about pride. The reunion rumors were dead. The group chats, probably silent or full of unread messages. And the hope that TGT would return, fading fast. But here's the wild part. Even with all that mess, people still wanted them back. Because despite the drama, the music slapped. But it was going to take way more than a press statement to clean up the mess they made in public. And while the dust settled online, each member quietly slipped back into solo mode. But not without carrying a few scars. After the public meltdown, it was clear. TGT was officially donizo, at least for a while. And just like that, the Kings went their separate ways, each returning to the solo grind. but not without some emotional and financial baggage. Let's start with Tank, the most outspoken during the breakup, and arguably the one who took the group's collapse the hardest. After TGT fell apart, Tank stayed working. He dropped multiple solo projects, but what really shocked fans was when he revealed in 2021 that he was losing his hearing. He said he had gone completely deaf in one ear and was losing sound in the other. And even though he called it scary, he stayed in the studio, determined to finish what he started. His 2022 album, R&B Money, was promoted as his last project before retirement, a full-circle moment that hit especially hard for fans who remembered how badly he wanted TGT to succeed. Ginuwine, meanwhile, leaned into the throwback tour circuit. He was still doing shows, but he also started trending for all the wrong reasons, like that viral clip of him attempting a very questionable magic stunt on Chris Angel's show. Fans were torn between laughing and worrying. Online, it turned into a meme storm with comments like, "Ginuwine gotta chill before he pulls a hamstring," and "This ain't pony energy anymore." Still, his legacy in R&B remained strong, and he kept performing hits for fans who never stopped riding with him. As for Tyrese, oh boy, he went all in on acting. Between filming Fast and Furious movies, feuding with The Rock, crying on Instagram Live, "I just want my baby," remember that? And releasing solo music that didn't exactly light the charts on fire, he stayed in the headlines for everything except music. He dropped Black Rose in 2015, which did well, but his persona offstage started to overshadow everything else, and he made it clear in interviews that he still believed he did everything right with TGT, basically saying the others didn't match his vision. Translation, they couldn't keep up. Despite the group's very public collapse, there was always this lingering what if, because fans knew the music had magic. It wasn't the vocals that failed, it was everything else. The egos, the bad business, and the inability to move as one. So while each member kept their own thing going, TGT slowly became one of those almost legendary groups, the supergroup that could have been iconic, if they could have just stayed out of their own way. But just when fans had given up hope, a bombshell dropped. And it started with a cryptic Instagram post, out of nowhere. Boom! In 2023, Tyrese posted a photo of himself, Tank, and Ginuwine side by side again. No drama, no subtweets, no passive-aggressive captions. Just one powerful sentence. TGT is back. The internet nearly broke. Fans who had long given up hope flooded the comments with everything from "about time" to "y'all better not mess this up again." And honestly, after all the drama, lawsuits, shady interviews, and Twitter fingers, nobody saw this reunion coming. But here's what made it feel different this time. They admitted they messed up. Tank was the first to say it out loud. "We got in our own way. We let ego, money, and pride ruin something special. And that humility, that's what finally gave this comeback a fighting chance." The group confirmed they had squashed the beef and, more importantly, agreed on equal pay across the board. That's right, no more backroom deals, no more "I'm the star" vibes. Just three grown men finally moving with the same vision. They also teased a brand new album and a 2024 tour, promising fans the real R&B experience that Three Kings was just the appetizer for. Tank said the new project would be grown, sexy, and healing. Tyrese claimed it would be the most honest R&B album of their careers. And Ginuwine, he just said, "We grown now. It's different this time." But let's keep it real. The industry is watching. Because second chances like this, rare. Especially after the kind of public collapse TGT went through. If they can pull it off, it'll be one of the biggest redemption arcs R&B has seen in years. But if they fumble it again, it's a wrap. No third strike. Just legacy in limbo. So now the question isn't, can they come back? It's, can they survive the comeback? Because when you've already been kings once, the fall is even steeper the second time. So here we are. Three kings. One more chance. TGT's story is what happens when raw talent collides with unchecked ego, and the dream of reviving real R&B gets drowned out by drama. They had the vocals, the fan base, the momentum, and still managed to blow it all up with money fights, control issues, and messy public breakups that played out like a reality show gone rogue. But now, they say they've grown, they've healed, they've learned. And maybe this time, we'll finally get the group we were promised back in 2007. Not the one with unspoken tension backstage. Not the one unraveling mid-performance. But three grown men, standing on stage together. Not as competitors, not as brands, but as brothers. Only time will tell if this reunion is for real, or if it's just one last encore before the final curtain drops for good. Either way, one thing's for sure, TGT's legacy is unforgettable. For the music, for the mess, for the moment they reminded us that even R&B royalty bleeds like the rest of us.